Imagine waking up one morning, walking outside with your coffee, and looking up to see a giant shimmering arc slicing through the sky, stretching from horizon to horizon like a divine hula hoop suspended in space. No, you're not dreaming, and you haven't been hit by a truck hauling glitter. Earth now has rings, like Saturn. Let's break down just how majestic and horrifying that would be. First, Earth's rings wouldn't be just for decoration. If we had rings like Saturn's, made mostly of ice and rock, they'd orbit roughly along our planet's equator. That means where you live would determine how you see them. If you're at the equator, you'd look straight up and see basically nothing. The rings would be edge-on, like a cosmic credit card. But the further you go north or south, the more the rings tilt into view, until you get to places like New York or Cape Town, where the rings would dominate the sky like a luminous permanent double rainbow on steroids. At night, city lights would compete with a glowing band of reflected sunlight arcing above. In polar regions, sunsets would look like someone left the HDR filter on way too long. Poets would explode. Instagram would melt, but the rings wouldn't just be pretty. They'd also cast shadows, and not metaphorically, actual shadows. Depending on the season, parts of Earth would experience longer twilight or even weird ring-shaped eclipses. Agriculture would have to adjust. Solar panels would get grumpy. Also, birds might be very confused, and it gets worse. Or better, if you're a chaos gremlin. These rings would affect our satellites. A dense enough ring system would block certain orbits entirely. GPS might stop working unless you reroute satellites or learn how to navigate like it's 1753 again. Communication systems would need some serious rewiring. Basically, your Uber Eats order would be late, and you'd have to look up from your phone long enough to actually see the rings. Now, where would these rings come from? Well, one cheerful possibility is that Earth had a second moon that collided with the first one, shredding both into a cloud of debris that formed a ring system. Yay, space violence. But unlike Saturn, Earth's gravity and atmosphere would pull at the rings constantly, causing some of the material to eventually fall back down, which sounds peaceful until a chunk of ice the size of a Tesla punches a hole in your roof at Mach 10. Also, thanks to Earth's relatively high gravity, our rings wouldn't last forever. Scientists estimate that such a system would decay over millions of years, so enjoy your sky jewelry while you can. It's basically cosmic costume bling on a timer. And what about the cultural impact? Entire religions would form around the rings. Nations might fight over who gets the best view. School kids would draw Earth with a halo, and conspiracy theorists would insist NASA painted the rings to hide something, probably lizard people. In short, if Earth had rings like Saturn, it would change not just our sky, but our history, technology, and sense of wonder. Also, sunscreen sales would skyrocket because those reflective particles would light up the night like Times Square on caffeine. It would be beautiful, inconvenient, and deeply unfair to astronomers who already have a hard time convincing people the stars are cool. Still, we'd probably find a way to adapt. Humans are great at turning weird disasters into tourist attractions. Welcome to Earth, now with extra sparkle. Just don't forget to duck when it rains frozen moon chunks.